back with our classes on reproduction. Yesterday we did till the starting of sexual reproduction in flower. We have finished the asexual reproduction, advantages of asexual reproduction, disadvantages of asexual reproduction, that they do not lead to variation which leads to survival advantage, and there is no chances of evolution if you reproduce through asexual method of reproduction. Now for sexual reproduction in flowers, the reproductive parts of angiosperms are located in the flower. So the reproductive organ of the plant is the flower. You have already studied the different parts of a flower. We know it is sepal. Sepal is the green part of the flower which basically helps the flower at its bud stage to be protected. Petals, they are colored to attract insects for pollination. Stamen and carpel. Stamen is what part of the flower? The male part of the flower. Stamen, which is also called as the androecium, is the male part of the flower, and the female part of the flower is called what? Carpel. Carpel is nothing but ovary. So what are the four parts of the flower? The four parts of the flower are petals, sepals, stamen and carpel. Sepals are green in color, helps the bud or helps the flower at its initial stage to keep it protected. Petals basically are brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Petals can be 3, so called the flower is called trimerous, 5 pentamerous, 7 septamerous. You know stamen. The stamen basically has a filament and a sac which is called as the anther sac, which contains what grains? Pollen grains. When you talk about the carpel basically contains a sticky stigma on the top, a long style and an ovary below. Okay, so let us read through it. Stamens and carpels are the reproductive parts of a flower which contain the germ cell. What possible function could petals and sepals serve? Petals are colored to attract insects for pollination, and sepal protect the flower in the initial bud stage. Fine. Stamen is the male reproductive part of the flower and carpel is the female reproductive part of the flower. Please write, underline stamen and carpel and write, name the male reproductive part of the flower and the female reproductive part of the flower. Name the male reproductive part of the flower and the female reproductive part of the flower. The male reproductive part is called stamen and the female reproductive part is called as the carpel. Now, see, the flowers also in any plant can be of two types. What are the two types of plants? Bisexual plants or bisexual flowers and unisexual flowers. Unisexual means it can be either male flower or a female flower. This mainly you will see in lot of times papaya does not, it gives flowers but does not give fruits. So lot of the time the local people, the normal gardeners will tell you, he will say, ma'am, gandu gida ide. What does it mean? Papaya has either male flowers or female flowers. And it requires, if it is a female flower, it requires some amount of pollination to get the male organ and then fertilize it. So unisexual flower, if it has only one sex, either male or female. Bisexual means in the flower it will have both the sexes. Like hibiscus had both. It had stamen as well as it has carpel. So bisexual flower, remember BMH. Bisexual flower, example is what? Mustard. Mustard you have seen mustard flower. And hibiscus. Unisexual flower is watermelon and papaya. If the flower has both the sexes, that is both the stamen and the carpel, then it is called as what? Bisexual flower. Example is what? Mustard and hibiscus. either stamen or carpel, then it is called as what? Unisexual flower. And the example is what? Watermelon and papaya. Please write. What do you mean by unisexual or bisexual flower? Give examples. What do you mean by unisexual or bisexual flower? Give examples. Very, very important 1 mark question in bold. Fine. So you will write, if the flower has both the stamen and the carpel, it is called as what? Bisexual flower. Example is mustard and hibiscus. If the flower has either stamen or carpel, then it is called as what flower? Unisexual flower. And the example is watermelon and papaya. So we will read through this part. The flower may be unisexual, as in case of papaya and watermelon, when it contains either stamen or carpel, either male or female. Or bisexual, hibiscus and mustard, when it contains both stamen and carpel. Stamen is the male reproductive part and it produces pollen grains that are yellowish in color. You must have seen this yellowish powder that often sticks to our hand if we touch the stamen of a flower. Carpel is present in the center of the flower and this is the female reproductive part. It is made up of 3 parts. The swollen bottom part is the ovary. I have taught you this. This is the ovary, this is the style, and the sticky part on the top is called as what? Stigma. Middle elongated part is the style and the terminal part which may be sticky is the stigma. The ovary contains ovules and each ovule has an egg cell. The male germ cell produced by the pollen grain fuses with the female gamete present in the ovule. The fusion of the germ cell of fertilization gives rise to zygote which is capable of growing into a new plant. Please write there a question. Explain double fertilization in flower. Explain double fertilization in flower. Although that part what we told is not there, it has been asked in the board. That is why we teach 2 things which is called what? Syngamy and triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion. I think I taught the other way also. Again I am repeating it. What we say? We say that the pollen grains come and stick on to the stigma of the flower. When it fuses, it forms what? A pollen tube. Through this pollen tube, 2 pollen grains reach the egg. One of them happens to fertilize with the main egg and this is called as what? Syngamy. And this syngamy results in the formation of zygote. The other pollen grain reaches and fuses with the 2 polar nuclei. What do you mean by polar nuclei? Polar nuclei are the cells which cannot be converted into egg. They could have been an egg cell, but they did not get converted into an egg cell. So it combines and fuses with the 2 polar nuclei as 3 things are fusing together. This is called as what fusion? Triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion taken together is called as what fertilization? Double fertilization. So when they ask you fertilization in flower, you are supposed to draw figure 8.8. You will not draw LS of a flower. You will always draw what? The figure, and always understand this figure 8.8 is important because they will give you the figure and they'll ask you to label. They'll keep A, B, C, D and you should know the labeling correctly. See, the top has a pollen grain. There is a stigma. You will see there is a male germ cell going through the pollen tube that reaches the ovary, and then there is a female germ cell. Can you see the whole thing? So labeling of this diagram is very, very important. This diagram will be printed in your question paper and the labeling will be done as A, B, C. And they will tell, identify A, B and C and explain sexual reproduction in flowers. Okay, so that diagram is important. Whenever you talk about sexual reproduction in flower, you are supposed to draw that diagram, which explains what? That the pollen grains fall onto the stigma of the flower. They form what tube? A pollen tube. Through the pollen tube, 2 pollen grains reach the egg. One of them fertilizes with the egg, and this process is called as what gamete? Syngamy, and it results in the production of zygote. The other pollen grain fertilizes with the 2 polar nuclei, and this process is called as what? Triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion taken together is called as what fertilization? Double fertilization. Clear? Now, after the pollen, next question, explain pollination or define pollination. Write difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Write difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Difference is there in the notes which I am supposed to send, because our great person has converted it into PDF, but that PDF is not working. It's not loading. So again I have to ask him to do it today. Probably in this week I will send. You don't have to write notes of reproduction because there are spaces left in between. You have to take a printout of that notes and draw diagram in that. But as you people have already drawn, it is fine. Otherwise draw in that sheet. Okay. So now always understand pollination andre the transfer of pollen grain onto the stigma of the flower. If it is done in the same flower, it is called as what pollination? Self-pollination. If it is done from some other flower, it is called as what pollination? Cross-pollination. But pollination should occur between the same species. It is not that rose ka pollen grain will fertilize hibiscus. It has to be the same species. What are the pollinating agents? Most important pollinating agent, insects. They sit on one flower, the legs will have the addition of either the pollen grains, and when they come and stick on other flower, they will pollinate it. So your agents of pollination may be insects, wind, water. When you spray water, your own hands also will help lead you to pollination. Okay. Thus the pollen needs to be transferred from the stamen to the stigma. If this transfer of pollen occurs in the same flower, it is referred as self-pollination. On the other hand, the pollen is transferred from one flower to the another. It is known as cross-pollination. The agents of pollination may be wind, water, or animals. Okay. The world's largest flower is what? Rafflesia. Good. Rafflesia is pollinated by whom? By the elephant foot. Okay, when elephant walks and he stamps on it, he pollinates Rafflesia. And how does Rafflesia smell? Bad is correct. How does it smell?
Rotten eggs.
Rotten egg is hydrogen sulfide gas. It smells like rotten meat. Okay, Rafflesia stinks. So that Rafflesia, which is the largest flower in the world, is pollinated by the feet of the elephant. Okay, so always understand there may be a question on pollination. So the transfer of the pollen grains onto the stigma of the flower is called as pollination. If it is done in the same flower, it is called self-pollination. If it is done in a different flower, it is called as cross-pollination. And the agents of pollination may be wind, water, or animals. Now the next part. After the pollen lands on the suitable stigma, it has to reach the female germ cell which are in the ovary. For this, a tube grows out of the pollen grain and travels through the style to reach the ovary. In here kotaito that a pollen tube is formed. Okay. Now the next part. After fertilization, the zygote divides several times to form an embryo within the ovule. Please underline this part. The ovule develops a tough coat and is gradually converted into a seed. and the ovary grows rapidly and ripens to form a fruit. So what are the changes that take place after fertilization? After fertilization, the zygote constantly divides to produce an ovule. The ovule develops a stuff coat and gets converted into a seed. The ovary gets converted into a fruit. This part very important. Please underline and write. What changes take place? What changes takes place after the flower is fertilized? What changes takes place after the flower is fertilized? The first change, after the flower is fertilized and the zygote is formed, the zygote divides multiple times to produce an ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and gets converted into seed. The ovary divides, ripens and forms a fruit. The petal, the sepal and other parts of the flower shrivel off or fall down. So these are the three changes that take place when the flower is fertilized. When the flower is fertilized and the zygote is formed, the zygote divides multiple times to develop into an embryo, which finally gets converted into an ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and gets converted into a seed. The ovary ripens and gets converted into a fruit. The other parts of the flower like petals, sepals, stamen, style, stigma may shrivel and fall off. Understood? Now the last part. Explain with the help of a diagram the germination in a seed. Next question, Barivi. Explain with the help of a diagram the germination of seed. So the seed basically contains what? The embryo of the plant. This embryo of the plant will basically germinate. When it germinates, it grows into the top part, which is green in color, which is called as what? Plumule, which forms what system? Shoot system. And it grows into a root, which is called what? Radicle. This radicle grows into root system and plumule grows into what system? Shoot system. You would have always seen, that is why sprouts are given to you, because they have high content of protein in them as it is growing into a new plant. Okay. So whenever a seed germinates and is ready to form a new plant, in the top there is small green thing which basically grows into the shoot system or the leaves and the branches, which is called as plumule, and the root system, which is called as what? Radicle. Diagram important. So this is all about what? Sexual reproduction in flower. So I'll again repeat. In sexual reproduction in flower, we first studied the parts of the flower. What are the four parts of the flower? Sepal, petal, stamen, carpel. Sepals are green in color and they protect the flower at its bud stage. Petals, they are brightly colored and they attract insects for pollination. Sepals joined together are called calyx. Petals joined together are called corolla. Petals can be 3, so the flower is trimerous. If it is 5, it is pentamerous. If it is 7, it is septamerous. Clear? Stamen is the male reproductive part of the flower. It consists of a stalk, which is called as the filament, and a sac, which is called as the anther sac. And it contains what? Pollen grains, the male germ cell. Fine? The female reproductive part of the flower is called carpel, which consists of an ovary, a long style, and a sticky stigma. Fine? We know that the flower can be unisexual or bisexual. If the flower contains either stamen or carpel, then it is called called what flower? Unisexual flower, which is in case of watermelon and papaya. If the flower contains both stamen as well as carpel, then it is called as what flower? Bisexual flower, as it is in case of mustard and hibiscus. During fertilization, the pollen from one flower can reach the stigma of other flower or of the same flower, and this is called as what? Pollination or self-pollination. If this pollen of one flower reaches the stigma of another flower of the same species, it is called as what pollination? Cross-pollination. The agents of pollination may be water, wind or animals. Right? After pollination, the pollen lands onto the stigma of the flower. It forms what? A pollen tube. Through this pollen tube, two pollen grains reach the egg. One of them fertilizes with the egg, and this process is called as syngamy. It forms a zygote. The other pollen grain fertilizes with the two polar nuclei, and this process is called as triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion taken together is called as double fertilization. The zygote which is formed divides continuously to form an embryo which contains what? Ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and is converted into a seed. The ovary ripens and gets converted into a fruit. All the other part of the flower, such as the stamen, the carpel or the sepal and the flower, fall down. Clear? So this is all the changes that takes place in the flower after fertilization. After fertilization, the seed or the embryo is enclosed in a seed. When the seed germinates into a new plant, it gives on the top a green colored sprout which is called as the plumule, which grows into what system? Shoot system. At down, it gives a cluster of roots which grows into what? Which is called as radicle and grows into root system. This should be very, very clear. That's why I am repeating so many times. And when they ask you fertilization in flower, you will draw figure 8.8. When they ask you parts of the flower or explain how the flower looks, then you will draw the first diagram. You should not draw when fertilization is asked the first part of the flower. LS of a flower does not talk anything about fertilization. Clear? Understood? So when they ask about fertilization or sexual reproduction in flower, you are supposed to draw figure 8.8. If you know figure 8.8, fine, but it also is a figure which is asked for labeling. So every labeling should be clear. Understood? So now we will talk about next reproduction in human beings. Okay, so shall I start with this only or shall I start with isi ko khatam karte hain? So now we will talk about reproduction in human beings. Everything about plants and asexual reproduction should be clear. So far we have been discussing the varieties of modes of different species used for reproduction. Let us now look at the species that we are most interested in, namely humans. Humans use a sexual mode of reproduction. How does this process work? Okay, now, before we go to humans, we should know that we all have originated from a vertebrate logic. That means we have all originated from fishes, amphibians, reptiles, aves and mammals. Bodhidhira last year, all vertebrates or chordates. We are all what? We all have a vertebral column, a dorsal tubular nerve cord. So we all belong to a class from where we have evolved. And that is why we tell, even our Indian mythology talks about this. If you look into your Indian mythology, the Dashavatara of Vishnu, it evolves like that only. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, anta hange varutte. So it is all about evolution related to how it has been explained to us. Fine. So if you look into this part, you will come to know that the method of reproduction has changed from external fertilization to internal fertilization. Okay. All of you would have seen toad in the garden. Frog antira, but a frog illa. At the toad irutte. Garden toad nodidira. Have you observed sometimes joblessly roaming around? Have you observed toad? You know, in some season, particularly few days back, the male toad will croak very badly, and that croaking is mainly to attract the female toad or the female frog for reproduction. Okay? To explain the difference between external and internal fertilization, it is, you should know, the toad will attract, it will bloat its neck. Some toads have those beautiful necks. You can even see birds. You will find when there is a nesting time, before the nesting time, the male bird will woo the female bird by different kinds of activity, and female shows too much of bow and says, get lost, I am not coming near you. And finally the male will please her, they will reproduce, and the male will help everything in the nest building. And the female just stands like one beautiful queen and says, okay, let this idiot do the work. And the male and the female join together, and when the eggs are hatched, the male does for a few days all the work. And then when the chick hatch, the male and female take turns to bring the babies up. So what happens in the fertilization is, there are two types of fertilization, external fertilization and internal fertilization. Internal fertilization, when the fertilization takes place within the body of the female, as in case of humans. We do not go and lay our sperm and egg in water and say, chalo, 8 mahine baad bachcha ho jayega. Nothing like that. The female carries the zygote or the embryo within her body and then delivers the baby. So this is called as what fertilization? Internal fertilization. In case of frogs, in case of fishes, what happens is, the male frog climbs over the female frog. If this is the female frog, the male frog will grab the female frog, and in their web they have adhesive. It will help to stick onto the female frog. And when the female frog feels the pressure of the male frog, it immediately delivers its egg in water. The egg will take the air bubble and will float just like an omelette floats. You know how egg swells up? Same way it is called as spawn. Okay, it has lot of egg in it, and the male puts all the sperm on that same spawn, and then the spawn moves and roams around and it gets stuck to some leaf or anything, and there is growth of tadpoles. And that is why during rainy season we are not supposed to eat lot of soppu, because initial days soppu was not grown the way it is grown now, only for human consumption. Soppu was grown in field near water everywhere. So that soppu only we used to eat. There was lot of times that we did not have light like this. We did not have 100% water all the time. So what they would do, even now if your mother buys big leaves, palak and all, she will see the leaf front back before cutting it, and she will clean it. This is because during monsoon season there is lot of spawn which come and attach, and it will make your entire palya kahi. It is the world's kahiest substance, that spawn. And why it is kahi? So that no other animal should eat it. Otherwise the entire species of frog will get vanished. Understood? So if the fertilization takes place outside the body of an organism, it is called as what fertilization? External fertilization. If the fertilization takes place within the body of the organism, it is called as internal fertilization. So in sexual reproduction, you have two types of fertilization, external fertilization and internal fertilization. Difference clear? Outside the body, external. Inside the body, internal fertilization. Fine? All these changes that can be grouped under the general process of growth in which the body becomes larger. But in early teen years, a whole new set of changes occur that cannot be explained simply as body enlargement. Instead, the appearance of the body changes, proportions change, new features appear, and so do new sensation. Some of these changes are common to both boys and girls. We begin to notice thick hair growing in the new parts of the body, such as armpit and the genital area between the thighs, which can also become darker in color. Thinner hair can also appear on legs and arms as well as on the face. The skin frequently becomes oily and we might begin to develop pimples. We begin to be conscious and aware of both our own bodies and those of others in new ways. On the other hand, there are also changes that take place different between boys and girls. These changes that take place separately between boys and girls are called as secondary sexual characters. Secondary sexual characters, you will find there will be deepening of the voice in boys, there will be growth of moustache and beard. So all these basically indicate what? Secondary sexual characters in males. In females, the secondary sexual characters are characterized by the onset of the menstruation or the menstrual cycle. Okay? In girls, the breast size begin to increase with darkening of the skin of the nipples at the tip of the breast. Also, the girls begin to menstruate at around this time. Boys begin to have new thick hair growth on the face. Their voices begin to crack. Further, the penis occasionally begins to become enlarged and erect either in daydreams or at night. All of these changes take place slowly over a period of months and years. They do not happen all at the same time in one person, nor do they happen at an exact age. In some people they happen early and quickly, while in others they can happen very slowly. Also, each change does not become complete quickly either. For example, thick hair on the face in boys appear as few scattered hairs first, and only slowly does the growth begin to become uniform. Even so, all these changes show differences between people. Just as we have seen differently shaped nose or finger, we also have different patterns of hair growth or size and shape of the breast or penis. All of these changes are aspects of the sexual maturation of the body. Why does the body show sexual maturation at this age? We have talked about the need for specialized cell types in multicellular body to carry out specialized functions. The creation of germ cell to participate in sexual reproduction is another specialized function, and we have seen that plants develop special cells and tissues type to create them. Human beings also develop special tissues for this purpose. However, while the body of the individual organism is growing to its adult size, the resources of the body are directed at achieving this growth. While that is happening, the maturation of the reproductive tissue is not likely to be a major priority. Thus, as the rate of general body growth begins to slow down, reproductive tissues begin to mature. This period during adolescence is called puberty. If you would have heard from your parents, they will tell you, Gatta mein se bandmeli, you will not grow tall. You will only grow what? Hinge. So basically what happens is, first body will take complete growth. Eshtagutte shtuddaga hogtira. Ameli it will stop, and then it will start what growth? Reproductive growth. Because your cells require a lot of energy, and simultaneous growth your body cannot provide. So as a result of it, first the energy is used in making the growth, cells grow to a certain height. And after that, reproductive maturation takes place. And after reproductive maturation takes place, only if you have a very good physical life, and a lot of physical activity, lot of running, you will grow little. Otherwise, your height stands still. Understood? But this spurt takes place in different people in different ages. Some you will always find girls grow fast. Boys will be all itna, girls will be big. But after 2-3 years, you will find boys will grow up and girls will be there only. Okay, so basically what happens, every person, every individual is different and they will have that growth spurt at different stages. You will find that as you come to 7th or 8th standard, there are development of secondary sexual characteristic, and the class mein jisko first hota hai, he will create a group and spread his awareness, and that fellow becomes one dada in class, and he will talk about all kinds of nonsense, and the other kids who have not experienced will open their mouth and listen. Okay, so one person in every class will be the one who will share, and that generally will be a kid who will have an elder brother or a sister. The firstborn of any house will be Ullu only. The second-borns are smart because their firstborns are there to provide them jnana, upadesha, and all that what is unwanted in life. So that younger fellow will go and spread that everywhere. Okay, this is generally how the life is learnt from your friends, and you learn it in a most horrible way. They will tell whatever they want. And until and unless you go and open your mouth at home and parents come to know, oh, this is the wrong knowledge you have gained, they will catch hold of you one day and tell. And then the system stabilizes. Because you think that whatever has happened to that person is something out of the blue, because the way the person describes is too superb. Okay, so it is very essential that you go back and talk about all these things either to an elder person who is quite close to you, or to a person who is very comfortable with you in talking. Okay, most of the time I find it is a mother. You will go and speak all kinds of nonsense, and she will know which time has come, and she will inform, if you are a boy, she will inform your father, and the father who never talks will suddenly come and talk one day. That will happen, and you will realize, why is he talking to me all this? So all this is a very common phenomena which occurs in everybody's house. Girls definitely mothers talk because you approach, okay, the mother or an elder sister or whomsoever. So these are common things that happen, that has happened to everyone. It is not, you are not the only species who is experiencing all this, and talking in a healthy way always helps to bring out all the wrong things what you have got in your mind. Okay? Underline and write. Define puberty. The period during adolescence is called puberty. So how do all the changes that we have talked about link to the reproductive process? We must remember that the sexual mode of reproduction means that two germ cells from two individuals have to join together. This can happen by external release of germ cells, as it's happened in flowering plant, or it can happen by two individuals joining their bodies together for internal transfer of germ cell. Please write. Define fertilization, and what are the two types of fertilization? Define fertilization, and what are the two types of fertilization? So what is fertilization? The transfer of the male germ cell to the female germ cell is called fertilization. It can happen by two methods: external fertilization and internal fertilization. Tomorrow we will continue, but now figure 8.10, figure 8.11, very important. Male reproductive system and female reproductive system. If you finish drawing this, all diagrams over. Now no more diagrams in biology. These are the diagrams which are asked for your board exams. So make sure you draw those two also. Tomorrow we'll continue further. Thank you.